Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an exciting program that you should know. It's Mr. Vance Wyatt. He's a commissioner, elect county board, 14th district representative. Good evening, Vance.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Brooks.
We're very happy that you've taken time for your busy schedule to be with us on the Community Forum. Of course, you're not new on the program, but there are some people probably, have not got acquainted with you, and this is an exciting time, especially with the new appointment that you just received. But before we get into that, I would like for you to tell our listening audience a little bit about your personal and professional background. Who is Vance Wyatt?
Sure. Prior to being appointed to the Lake County Board, I served on the Falls Park District Board of Commissioners, and I was elected as the board president in 2016 and reelected as board president in 2017. Prior to that, I served on the North Chicago Public Library Board, and I served as its board treasurer since 2014. I was first appointed to that board at the age of 20 in 2011, and I've also served as a Democratic committeeman for Shields Township, and I currently serve as the township chairman of the Shields Township Democratic Party as well. Wow,
well, there's something unique then about your age there in serving. Tell us about that.
So at the age of 20, I was the youngest library trustee in the nation.
In the nation?
In the nation. So it definitely was a very big experience and learning curve that I had to embark on as I was on the board, learning how to deal with individuals that are not the same age as me, and trying to shape policy within North Chicago. And I think that my 6 years that I served on the library board really transformed that library. We're actually in the process of going through, or I should say the library is going through the process of actually getting a remodel at no cost to the citizens of North Chicago at all. It's a multi-million-dollar remodel. We're also getting a brand new bookmobile as well, which I did serve as the chairman of that committee that was over the bookmobile as well. And it's going to be able to better serve the community. And within that library, there's going to be tons of new and exciting of different activities and different things for the community that's going to be able to push the community forward. One of those things is the Business Center, which is actually going to be named after my predecessor on the Lake County Board, Audrey Nixon. So we'll have her name and will be dedicated in her honor for her service to the community for 36 years on the Lake County Board.
So you're off and running, and this is really what we need too, and maybe more of our citizens will be utilizing the North Chicago Public Library now.
And that's our goal with the Business Center. The reason it's something I've been trying to work on for years, trying to transform little areas of the library. It's going to really be able to transform the community because it will allow individuals to start a business within the actual library. For instance, Amazon, which is being built right here in Waukegan, it's actually was started in a library. Mr. Bezos, who is the CEO of Amazon, got his start in the actual library, wrote his business plan up, and actually started from there. He moved into his garage, just like many small businesses are started, and he grew it up to a multi-billion-dollar company as it is today. So what my thought process amongst all of my board members was that we should have something similar right here in our community so we can have an incubator for all businesses within North Chicago. And if anyone wants to start a business, they have an option, and an option that's close by that they can actually grow their own business in.
Well, tell us how important it is to have a good education.
Well, education is really important. I did receive my I graduated from the high school in 2008, second generation graduate from North Chicago. From there, I went off and got my bachelor's degree at National Louis University. I got a bachelor's in management, a minor in public policy. And then I just recently finished my MBA in banking and financial institutions from Concordia University in River Forest, Illinois. And just between those two roles, or those two different degrees allowed me to move into the role that I have at CVS, where I'm actually a financial analyst currently. So it has opened a lot of doors. the earning potential is much higher than it would be if I just had a college or a high school diploma and just a traditional, bachelor's degree. And it really has transformed my life around. I guess you could say, even for my mom that doesn't have her degree, she's really happy that I had got my degree. I could hear her screaming all the way in the back because it was more so for me to walk the stage was for her. The piece of paper that was good enough for me, but that ceremony was really important for her. And now that I have the ability to have a little bit higher earning potential, I'm able to help my mother out a little bit more now.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And you have a grandfather that's been very inspirational to you too.
Yes.
I met him years ago. He was in the Navy, right?
Yeah, he was in the Navy.
He came through the Navy housing. I was the director of the office, and he never forgot that because of the assistance that I gave him. I was only doing my job, but he gave me credit for reaching out to serve. But I didn't know I was going to meet you. And, I could see that inspiration that you got from him.
Yeah, and actually, it's good that you brought up my grandfather. Actually, my mom's side of the family actually, as you said, came from the Navy. Both my grandmother and my grandfather came to North Chicago from the Navy base. Okay. And then my dad's side of the family is actually from Alabama. And they moved up during the Great Migration from the South. Okay. And then, I kind of am a culmination of both sides of North Chicago. We've always had the Great Lakes side, and we have the individuals that moved up from the South into North Chicago and then settled in this area, North Chicago, Waukegan, which is why a lot of families are, they know each other because they go back all the way to Alabama or Mississippi.
Right. In fact, they have an Alabama club.
Yep. And my grandmother was a part of it. Miss Brown, who went to our church, Trinity AME, was a part of that club as well. I want to say Mary Ross Cunningham, who also serves on the board with me on the county, she's also a part of that club as well.
Very active. Very active, yeah, right. Fantastic. Well, growing up in North Chicago then and now, just how was then when you was growing up and so how it has changed?
When I was going through the elementary school, through the high school system, we had a lot more programs, not only in the school district but also at the Park District, which is why I ran for the Park District. Unfortunately, I only served for 2 years there, so I didn't get to get all of the different programs that I wanted. But this year, for example, we're bringing back softball, soccer this year. We did try tennis. It didn't work out, unfortunately, which was my favorite sport to play. Okay. But we are, we're in the process of redoing our tennis courts, so there's that effort to bring more programs to the community, and it's something that we desperately do need. The library, since I was there for 6 years, we've brought a lot more programs in. We've had parenting classes for free. You don't have to pay for it like you do at the YMCA. These are all at no cost. We've been doing financial literacy courses as well. So those programs are starting to build the divide that we haven't had for years, and we're trying to prepare the next generation, and also our working adults as well, give them classes and different activities that they could take part in as well. Even the seniors this year for our at the Park District, they're going down to New Orleans for a trip.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Not sponsored by the...
No, it's no. I wish we had that kind of money, but unfortunately we couldn't sponsor it.
No, North Chicago is not the wealthiest community, but through initiatives, you can cause it to be people to feel like they're part of it, one of the wealthiest counties in the country.
Yeah, and Lake County happens to be the 47th richest county in the nation.
47th.
And it's important. One thing when I ran for park commissioner, one thing I always said was, we may not be millionaires or billionaires like our neighbors in Lake Bluff, Lake Forest, but we deserve to be treated as such and have the same services that they offered, which is why, as board president for the Park District, I went down to Shields Township, worked with the current supervisor or the previous supervisor and one of their previous trustees to get $10,000 for our seniors, something that Lake Bluff and Lake Forest had been getting for years. But now we are actually going to get that $10,000 going forward for our seniors. That's something that will hopefully be used to either subsidize programs or also to build out a senior center within the Park District for our seniors.
Well, it's not a North Chicago loss it's a Lake County gain,
Yeah.
that you have moved into the position that you're in. You were very active. Not only you weren't just a sitting member.
Mm-hmm.
You were president of the North Chicago Library Board, right?
No, I was treasurer for the library.
Treasurer Library Board.
And then president for the Park District.
Okay, all right, good. And now you are but tell us, we might as well, let's move into the, first of all, tell us about your predecessor, Audrey Nixon.
Miss Nixon, as many people know, she was in a way like the grandmother for the entire community. She served on the county board for 36 years. When I was actually there to meet with the committee to be appointed to the board, I was looking at all the different board pictures. Okay. And every year going back all the way back to the 1980s, you would see Miss Nixon there, representing North Chicago. Even she was good friends with my grandmother.
Okay.
So it really was a loss for the community as a whole. Not just in North Chicago, but Lake County as a whole, because she was the most senior member on the board, longest serving member ever. And she did bring a lot of different programs, for instance, the Ask 12 program to bridge the gap between the police department and the community, which is something that is needed right now, especially with all the troubling times that's happening throughout the country. And then she's brought a number of different programs. I could list them for days, which we probably don't have enough time for. But right. She was really cared about the community and really brought everything as much as she could to the community. And I'm looking to actually expound upon that and bring even more to the community and push forward. For instance, we have workforce development, which is it's a county initiative department that actually that allows individuals to apply for jobs, and they're able to find they'll be able to take the applicant and put them into the right job. So if, say, Walgreens or CVS, they're looking for an employee, they have their information there at workforce development and be able to push them in that direction for that company. Say, we have the perfect candidate for you.
And she was really active in getting youth involved too.
Yes.
She got the county to really get active in providing slots for youth.
Yeah.
For North Chicago.
At the library, we have a lot of youth. A lot of youth that come there to work through the county summer jobs program.
Okay.
One thing I was working on both boards, both the Park District and the library, before I left, was to try to lower our actual minimum age for our workers, so we can bring in individuals that are 16 or 17, give them jobs that are not just seasonal but year round. And as a county board member, since I have a little bit larger platform, I'm looking to bring in all the park districts, the cities, the libraries, to see if we can target to get more jobs for the community. Because if you live around the corner, it's a little bit easier for you to just walk to the library, walk to the park district, and then that money that you're earning, that we're paying in property taxes, stays within the community itself, which actually helps build the local economy.
Mrs. Nixon was chairman of the Law and Judiciary Committee too, and judges, I just love her. Working there, so she had a lot of influence there and did a great job there.
Yeah, absolutely. And since I took over for her midterm, I am serving also on the Law and Judicial Committee. I'm not the chairman, but I am serving. 35 years. But I am serving on the Law and Judicial Committee. I actually will be we'll be having our first meeting since I've got on the board next week. So it's going to be an interesting, interesting thing to deal with because they touch a lot of different aspects of the community, from the sheriff's department to the coroner's office, all the way to the state's attorney and the public defender's office as well.
Not only are you one of 21 members on the Lake County Board of Commissioners, you're also a member of the Forest Preserve Commission.
Yes.
Too also, right? Tell us about that.
So as a county board member, you serve on both the county board and the Forest Preserve simultaneously. Okay. Typically our meetings are, you'll have the county board meeting first at 9, and then you'll have the Forest Preserve meeting at 10 or 30 minutes after the county board meeting. Serving on the Forest Preserve is similar to being a park commissioner. The roles are pretty much the same. The only difference is there's a lot more focus on conserving the environment, because the Forest Preserves has scientists that work for the actual for the district, and they're able to help maintain some of that. For instance, in North Chicago, behind Fire Station 2, we have some wetlands. The city doesn't have the ability to actually maintain that. The state isn't always that great on doing it, especially with their issues with not passing a budget. So that is one thing that I had talked about with another commissioner that also represents a small portion of North Chicago, about possibly doing a partnership between Falls Park and the Forest Preserve, so we can put a park in that over there and also have maintenance of that wetlands as well. And also because there's a lot of flooding over there, so it's kind of important that we maintain it. So.
Right. I can say this though: the history of county commissioners in North Chicago. That was a Kerry Daniels. I don't know whether you heard that name or not.
I've heard the name, yeah.
He was the first African American from North Chicago to serve on the county board, along with Sam Payne Sr. from Zion, Illinois. And of course, there's Arthur Nixon. So you're the third. So you go down in history as the third commissioner from the city of North Chicago. But tell us that you mentioned that you not only represent North Chicago, but what other areas do you represent?
So the 14th district is most of North Chicago, so pretty much from Buckley all the way over to 14th Street.
Okay.
And then from 14th Street, it cuts down and goes down Lewis into Waukegan. So I have parts of, or I shouldn't say Lewis, but Elmwood Avenue and Waukegan. So I have parts of the second ward of Waukegan, go all the way back up to Green Bay Road, and then I have a little bit more of Gurnee, and then I have all of Fountain Square, or what I call Lakehurst still.
Okay.
And then I also have all of Park City, and then I have a small portion of Gurnee as well, which is the eastern side of Gurnee, which is on the east side of 41. And then I go almost all the way to Sunset, so it's about 2 blocks away from Sunset and Waukegan. So I have a very long, wide district, and it ebb and flows throughout. It cuts in and out of Waukegan here and there, so it's kind of hard to say what exactly, without going down the street exactly. So to say how much of Waukegan I represent, but I do have a nice sizable chunk of Waukegan, all of Park City, and a small portion of Gurnee.
Wow, but the mission is the same, but the needs of each one is a little different, right?
Exactly. For instance, with Gurnee, there's not much county roads within the 14th district.
Okay.
And in Waukegan, North Chicago, there's a few more. In Park City, we have the Forest Preserve, which borders Park City, which is one of their concerns. And then, of course, making sure we get CDBG funds for all of our different communities, which is really important to the city of North Chicago and Waukegan to revitalize blighted areas within the community, to maintain those resources for the community, especially now that President Trump is attempting to cut all CDBG funds out on the federal level. It's important that we fight on the federal, as county commissioners and aldermen on the local level, to make sure that our congressmen and women actually know that is important, that these services and these grants are important to the community, and without it, it will actually, devastate the community.
So you really involved in politics, but it's the positive side, because you use it in politics to support the area that you represent. Not only that, but the whole county. The 21 members are working together. Yes. With it. For instance, I know the county board worked together to save Great Lakes, and Arthur Nixon had worked real hard to get. Otherwise, we probably would have lost. It's real close. It was a 3-member panel, and it's the Florida, San Diego, and Great Lakes were considered, and by 1 vote, Great Lakes got the nod. Yeah. And so that was a great. And there's been other landmark decisions, that are made to protecting the citizens here. So we hopefully that your experience as a politician, you're a real politician now, is going to be used to, support the same, to maintain what we have and accumulate more. And you mentioned about that too, you know. And that's the reason I mentioned about the other areas that 4 or 5 different areas that you represent. They have tweak it to have a little different, but basically the same. And that's protecting the, like I say, the Fort Missouri area and also the county in general. But tell us, so I had here, you had to resign both positions as library and also park district, right? You couldn't hold.
Correct.
And there's a reason for that, right? Because this, I guess the county board, is that a full-time position?
So the county board position is still considered a part-time position, as is the library and the park board. It is a paid position. There's that difference between those two boards and this new position. In regards to why I had to resign, there's a certain stipulation within Illinois law. It's called the Illinois Simultaneous Tenure Act. Because of the size of our county, we're not the same as some of the southern counties, which has less than 100,000 residents in it.
Oh, okay.
Since we're above that threshold, I'm unable to serve in both roles. There was a legal opinion specifically for the actual library board, so I was unable to serve in that role. And that part of that whole rationale behind it was the reason why I couldn't serve on the park board as well. Because we also have 2 other commissioners, Sandy Hart, who's my neighboring district, and Bill Durkin, who is that represents part of Waukegan. They both came from the park board as well. So it is a common occurrence for you to come from either the city or from the park district level, because the roles are so similar together.
Well, like I say, then it's not a total loss. Then for it's a gain for North Chicago as well, with the background. And it's great for someone with your background. I can't think of a better person. I could say there are 2 others that came from park boards, you know, to have, because it's not a loss to North Chicago. Then we feel proud that the best person was selected. And I mentioned best person, but tell us a little bit about the history. You were selected by the Lake County Board chairperson, but there's a similarity between you and he, other than being of ethnic.
On the county level. Both of us actually started on the library board at the age of 20. We were both appointed.
Okay.
Both of us were appointed at the age of 20.
Wow.
At the age of 27, we both got on the county board, which is how old I am now. And then we had both just got our MBAs as well. The only difference really is just our area codes is a little bit different than each other, or I should say zip codes are a little bit different. But for the most part, we pretty much have the exact same resume. It's kind of eerie in a way, I guess you could say. It's kind of like the stars align type of an event. And you know, now I'm actually the youngest on the board. He was the youngest prior to me joining the board. And Lake County as a whole has had a number of young elected officials to serve on the board, and that is one thing that we need to look at in North Chicago, really, especially with some of our other boards as individuals start to retire. Yeah. We need to replace our leadership, because it's important that we train the next generation to take over those roles so we can continue to move forward. For instance, you know, we don't have a grocery store in North Chicago, which is something that, you know, I'm planning on supporting the mayor in regards to for our Sheridan Crossings project down on Sheridan Road in North Chicago. The forest, or the county and the forest preserve, we're abating taxes along with the park district as well, in order to actually incentivize business to come within the community. And you know, I'm going to support our mayor to make sure we get economic development, because it's important and crucial, not just for North Chicago, but for the community as a whole. So,
yes, because there are streets in North Chicago that are county streets. I believe 14 streets.
Yes.
Right, itself is a county, and there are plans to, and I'm sure you're going to continue to support that. Yeah. To complete it all the way from Green Bay Road, I don't know, to to maybe Sheridan Road? Is
Yeah.
it Jackson Street?
It's from Green Bay down to Jackson. And that actual project is supposed to start this year.
Okay.
However, due to the state,
yeah.
anything that's through IDOT or has anything that's coming from the state it will be on hold going forward. From my meetings that I've had in regards to the 14th Street project, that project should continue on. I know that they did start to shut down part of Lewis Avenue in Waukegan, so I'm assuming that has something to do with that particular project, because part of the reason why 14th Street is so messed up is because of the water pipes that are underneath it. And the water mains that are underneath it need to be replaced. That street in particular, half of it was Waukegan, half of it was North Chicago. Half of the pipes will be fixed by North Chicago, the other half will be fixed by Waukegan. So it's kind of a collaboration between the two cities and the county to make sure that project gets completed. And that's actually the only one highway that the county controls. It's in North Chicago, or I should say in the 14th Street or 14th District, that needs to be repaired. That's in desperate need of repair. All of our other streets, Martin Luther King, most of Lewis going from 14th all the way down to Buckley Avenue has been already surface repaired. The only other aspect of it is the rest of Lewis Avenue going into Waukegan. That is also in future plans to be repaired as well. And actually, how we fund our road repair on the county level is actually comes from our sales tax. So what we get in the sales tax as the county, that all goes towards transportation. And we've even picked up some of the state roads. We've been maintaining some of the state roads because, unfortunately, the state has their own issues, which they're not paying their own bills and haven't had a budget. So
That's
what
been
we've
highly
been
publicized.
Yes, and I know that quite well from being on the park board, because we've had a lot of capital projects that are on hold until the state does something, pretty much. And the county has stepped up and started maintaining some of those roads. We send them a bill, I shouldn't say we send them a bill. We actually get paid first. We were trying to get paid first, and then once we get paid, we'd actually render the services. That's some of that snow removal as well, because we can't wait around for the state to show up and clean the street. And especially during the 2011 snowstorm that we had in the northeastern area of Illinois. We had almost 13 or 36 inches worth of snow. I know from when where I was living, I had to jump over 5 feet of snow to get to a taxi cab to take a train to Chicago to come back out of Chicago to get to Wheeling in order to make it to work, because I couldn't drive out my own driveway. Because even the snow removal companies, because I had a snowblower, couldn't get all the way through the street to get all the snow. So they were all busy. It took them 5 days to come and clean the street. And unfortunately, that has been an issue, especially now with the state having the budget crisis that's been going on for the last 2 years, or going into the third year now, where the Illinois the lottery's planning on leaving. There's the IDOT, they're cutting back. There's a lot of different services that are about to be pulled from Illinois because of this budget stalemate that's been going on down in Springfield. They're currently in session. I'm hoping that a budget is finally approved so we can start to get some projects on the way on the county level and also on the local level as well.
You mentioned about the lottery playing on. Is this for the state or the state?
Yeah, the entire state. Was it Mega Million and I think Powerball? They're both planning on leaving the state of Illinois.
Wow. And then too, we mentioned about 14th Street, but I guess Green Bay Road is a state
street,
a
state road. So that's actually where I live. I live on Green Bay Road, so that's how I know quite well that it is a state road, and why I had to jump over 5 feet of snow to get to a taxi. That is a street. I don't know if we have a cooperation agreement or intergovernmental agreement with the state in regards to Green Bay Road or all of Green Bay Road yet. There are certain areas within the county that those cooperations have already been agreed to. Of course, 94, 294 is is an Illinois Tollway, which is an offshoot of IDOT, which is completely separate. So we don't maintain any of that. It's just traditional state streets that are state roads that we're responsible for maintaining.
Since we mentioned the roads, I got one more. I get mentioned 14th Street, Green Bay. So another one I want to mention, but I guess not Sheridan Road. Sheridan Road is.
Sheridan's a state road.
That's a state road.
Yes.
Sheridan Road. And we know that 137 is that federal.
That's state.
That's state too.
That's state. Buckley. 137 is actually Buckley and Sheridan Road.
Yeah.
So it just curves around and becomes Amstead as you go up north. So
Oh,
that's
I know.
all state.
Yeah, I know. The Lewis Avenue is that both county and city?
Yes, it is an agreement between the city and the county. The county maintains it for the most part. It is our road. We get the gas tax portion of it. The city does maintain it in some respects, but not fully. It is a county road, though.
Well, I'm just highly excited that we have someone on the county from our area that's well grounded educationally and knowledgeable. You were just sworn in last Tuesday.
Yes.
Tuesday.
Yes.
And you
only almost 10 days.
and you come in with the wealth of background, and we certainly appreciate it. And with the committees that you're serving on, that you inherited, appointed, I should say, by the chairman of the county board. And we call this a part-time job, but with all the committee meetings and so forth, it has to be never a dull moment. It has to be full-time,
Yeah.
Right?
In a way, it's kind of like being a full-time job. Some weeks I do 30 hours a week so far, meeting with various mayors, park district board presidents, school board presidents, even though we don't touch the education aspect of it, but it's important that we also have some type of interaction with them to understand how to lobby for them when we go down to Springfield, so I can actually this is what my park districts want, this is what my school districts want, this is what my cities want, and as a county, this is what we want as well. So it's important as a county board member that, the same thing that Audrey did, even though we don't personally have a role in that that aspect, it's important that we still lobby for all aspects of our district, no matter how big or small the actual program is. The same goes for at the township. We have the township, which I just said that they're giving us money for our senior program, but to make sure that they actually maintain and keep giving us that money. So I will continue to lobby there at the township level to make sure that they provide us the programs. And with Waukegan Township, with Staben House, there's certain grants that they receive from the county. It's important that as a county board member that represents Waukegan and Waukegan Township to make sure that Waukegan Township gets their fair share of the grant money, and make sure that way they can offer and provide services so they don't have to increase property taxes or any other taxes that they may have.
Wow, that's another duty that we didn't mention, but the township is very important.
Absolutely.
Doing a great job. And for them to continue the great job they're doing, they depend on your support. And we talked about your educational background, but what about your employment history?
So I currently, as I said, I work for CVS Health.
Okay.
Actually in my fifth or sixth position there. They keep promoting me into different roles.
Okay.
I've been there since 2015. Prior to that, I worked with Volkswagen Credit or Audi Financials, which is the same company, and then also worked for AbbVie as well. That's where I started off right out of college, and I was there in 3 or 4 different positions before I left and wanted to move into closer to what I went to school for, which is finance, which is how I ended up in Volkswagen and now at CVS as well. So it's been a great learning experience and learning how expensive drugs can be, and the workings of insurance, because currently I do work under the Caremark side of CVS. So I deal with the insurance and making sure individuals get their checks delivered to them, that if you say receive some type of medication, but you overpaid or underpaid, making sure that either we send you an invoice or that we have a check. I go through all the financials for that and get it over to our accounts receivable or our accounts payable teams that will handle it from there.
Well, I realize it's only been about 10 days now.
Yeah.
But tell us about some of the challenges and experiences, I guess, you're looking for. I can say that you've had, because you haven't been there. But I know you have looked over the overall picture there and some of the challenges that you expect to face.
Well, one thing is the county is a different type of government agency than the local level. We have our own rules that are separate from cities or park district, where a alderman or a park district commissioner or whatever role you have on a local level. Your rules may allow you to do a lot more versus on the county level, it's a little bit different. For instance, introducing just legislation or amendments is slightly different than you do on the local level. Some of that is done through, or most of it's done through our staff, which we have a lot more support. So unfortunately, we don't have, say, someone that does all of our emails for us, but we do maintain and get emails from tons of people. I have gotten emails from people in Lincolnshire talking about some type of road that they don't want to be expanded upon. So we get a lot of different people from all over the county that reach out to all the board members, just because you may serve on one committee that may vote on an issue or may have some type of interaction with it. So my biggest thing is trying to learn how to get some things done. One thing I'm trying to do right now, as I meet with all the mayors, Park City, North Chicago, and Waukegan are not a part of a program called A Way Out, which is pretty much is a program that allows anyone that has an addiction to a substance, legal or illegal, they're able to join, or they're able to drop off their drugs at a police station and will not be prosecuted at all. And then they'll be able to, through the health department, get the necessary treatment that they need, which is important, especially with, some of the cities out west. They're having a lot of issues with opioids, and then locally we have other substances that are either legal or illegal that are being used. And it's important that we give individuals an opportunity to turn their life around and feel safe that they can turn it in, and that way we get those drugs off the streets and actually help them get their lives moving in the right direction.
And we don't hold this against you because you're a Democrat or Republican. You just happen to be a Democrat. And actually, you would not be serving on the county board had you not been a Democrat, right?
Correct.
Because Sergeant Nixon was a Democrat,
yes,
and he has to, by law, I guess, appoint another Democrat to take her position. Right?
Yeah, so it's based on, since it is a partisan position, you have the chairman. So initially we meet with the commission, which is comprised by the Democratic chairman of the party and a number of other officials, 2 county board members, 4 county board members, and a county-wide elected official that all happen, for the most part, are Democrats except for 2 of the members on that commission. And the chairman, they all talk and decide who they're going to appoint to that position. For the most part, or in this particular case, Audrey was a Democrat, so by law, or they have to appoint a Democrat. Same goes for a state rep or a state senator. They're required to appoint someone of the same party. I've been a Democratic committeeman for 6, 7, 8 years now, so that issue was not a question at all. So,
well, what about traveling? Even though it's you only have 4 different areas of travel, but each area expect for you to be at their functions.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Actually, as soon as I leave here, I'm going to another event. So.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Oh.
So it is a bit of a challenge, especially now that I have such a wider district. For instance, this past Saturday, I was at 6 different events throughout, from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way up to about 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And in this coming weekend, I have about 4 to 5 events that I have to go to already. So it is a very busy schedule that you're trying to keep, and that's not including what you're doing throughout the week as well. So
and they call that part-time?
yes, yes, it's still part-time. And like I said, sometimes you'll typically put in 20 to 30 hours a week with different events that you're going to. Especially since I'm not as well known in some of the areas of the district, because I didn't represent them as a park commissioner or as a library trustee. So it's important that individuals or my constituents know who I am at least.
Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm. Now, at one time that I can remember, there were 23 members
mm-hmm.
On the county board, and I guess did they make a decision to cut the number to 21, or was that recommended?
So every 10 years,
okay,
the county or there's what's called redistricting. So the county board does it, the city of North Chicago and Waukegan, they do it for their wards.
Okay.
The state does it for their state reps. When they decided to do it as a board, they decided to go down from 23 to 21. For instance, in the 14th district, they kind of merged the 14th and the 12th district pretty much together. Half of the 12th district ended up in the 14th district. The other half went into the 9th district. So that is something that happens every 10 years, not always where they reduce the board. I know that there's a proposal right now with the whole electing chairman at a county-wide level to also reduce the board again. I think that personally, my personal opinion on regards to reducing the board is not really a great thing, because it spreads out your county board members too wide, and then you're not able to focus on certain core constituencies. For instance, North Chicago and Waukegan and Park City, we have different needs. We have all similar needs, and we also have a little bit different needs. Yeah. But if the more compact that your districts are, the closer and your ideas and your views are on what your district represents. Like I said, my Gurnee side of my district has completely different needs than, say, the North Chicago residents, and vice versa. They both have. Some of them are the same, of course, taxes. No one wants to pay higher taxes, especially in North Chicago, or paying almost 18%. And Gurnee, they're more reliant on sales tax. Same goes for Waukegan. They're kind of both sales and property tax. And Park City, of course, there's the property tax issue as well. So there are a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of differences outside of maybe one or two different issues.
Mm-hmm. In communities south of us, because of the billions of dollars for real estate tax, then their property tax, I guess, is lower.
Yeah,
they pay lower taxes than we do in North Chicago.
So as a commissioner of the Falls Park District, we did have part of Lake Bluff. So literally, not even a mile or two away, you would have paid went from 18% down to about 11 or 12%, just by living in our park on our Lake Bluff side. Of course, their houses are worth a lot more. We had a few $1 million homes, so they pay $50,000 a year. But of course, their houses are worth 100 times as much as a normal house in, say, North Chicago, Waukegan, and that's why I personally don't see why we should shrink our districts down further, or make them wider, I should say. Or expand them larger than they currently are, because you can end up having someone in North Chicago, or having North Chicago and Lake Bluff or Lake Forest grouped in together, and then you lose our needs to what the rest of the district is. If you look at the township, that's part of the reason why we haven't had a lot of services coming into North Chicago, because our needs and wants are different than our Lake Bluff and Lake Forest sides of the district.
Mm-hmm. That may be one of the reasons why we don't have a grocery store, have more businesses coming to North Chicago? Yes.
I mean, and like it might currently, even though the district is how it is, and it's going to stay that way until 2022, my goal is to represent the entire district, but I also have to understand what the needs of each community is slightly different. And even within North Chicago, in certain pockets, their needs are a little bit different. Same goes for Waukegan. The Lakehurst side, they're more looking at what's going to happen within at Lakehurst with their development. Of course, they're talking about the casino that's coming to Waukegan, and then the same goes for Park City and then Gurnee as well.
Of course, Did the county board vote to support the casino?
That's not a county issue. That's a city and
So
state.
they wouldn't get involved in supporting or non-support?
I mean, the only thing that they may possibly do is if it was not a non-TIF district area to abate taxes. Outside of that, I don't know of any specific. Or there'll be the health department, of course, for food, but we're not as hands-on in regards to that. That's more of a state control and local control issue. It's not really a county issue.
So if the 14th district was try to get your support, then you couldn't come right out and.
I mean, as an individual commissioner, I could, or I would either could oppose or support it. But the county board as a whole, that's not really where that's not our direct. We don't have any direct control over that because it's not unincorporated. It's within the city limits, and we don't, like I said, we don't have any direct control over any gaming. That's at the Illinois Gaming Board. And then at the local city as well, and all of their ordinances that they have.
We haven't talked about the overall budget. If you looked at I know you can't talk about specifics there, but overall budget.
The overall budget for the county is roughly about $500 million, so it's $502 million. On the county side and on the forest preserve side, it's about $74 million. So we're almost at roughly a little bit less than $600 million.
Okay.
So that's just much larger than even the city budgets for both North Chicago, Waukegan, Gurnee, and Park City combined, because we do touch so many more individuals, almost 700,000 over 700,000 residents total in Lake County. Our budget nowhere compares to Cook County, which has about a $3 billion budget. That's the second largest county in the nation.
Okay.
But we do have a very sizable budget, and one thing as we're going through the budget process in October, one thing as a new board member is to target monies to go within the 14th district that's going to help promote different initiatives that I have and different initiatives that various different leaders within the community have for the district. One thing is reducing recidivism, increasing job opportunities as well, and then supporting individuals to get a job, and actually if they have a history if they have a history of past criminal history, making sure we find employers within Lake County that they can actually go to, and also be able to provide adequate transportation. We don't control fully RTA, but we do have some money that goes into RTA, which is the Regional Transit Authority, which is PACE, Metro, and all that. We do have one representative from Lake County that serves on that board, and along with all of the other collar counties as well in Cook.
Oh, okay. So that's the reason I attended one of the county board meetings, and the rep did. Yeah. I guess they make an annual report to the council. That's why, because they serve on that board.
Yeah, the chairman has the ability to appoint a member to that board to represent Lake County. The chairman has about 300 different positions that he can appoint throughout the county on various different boards. Some of them fall under us, under our budget. Some of them, like the Lake County Housing Authority, has a completely separate budget. Lake County Housing Authority is not within that $500 million. That's completely separate from ours as well. Some of them, there's some hybrid or crossover, I guess you could say, with their budget and our budget, or taxes at least. But for the most part, it's just core county services fall under us. There's some that are just completely separate, just like the Housing Authority, which is, we have the Mary Jones project that's going on right there on 14th Street. None of that is coming directly out of the county level, but that is something that is, something that we're going to support, and I will support, because even as a board commissioner for the Park District, we did get a brand new park that's going to be installed at Coles Park. That park is going to be completely redone at no charge to any taxpayers in the Falls Park District. There's going to be a retention pond in the center of the park with a trail going around that retention pond with outside workout equipment along that trail, and an actual park, a traditional playground equipment as well for the kids.
If I understand that correctly now, that's been done by the
Housing Authority. Lake County Housing Authority, which is separate from our $500 million that we spend. That project is a it's a public-private partnership between the Housing Authority, Benoit Group, and the City of North Chicago Foster Park District, and a few other government agencies as well.
Okay.
The senior home is going to be built this year, or is planned to be built at the end of this year,
okay.
Which will be right next to the park, which is Coles Park. And then at the beginning of next year, towards the end of next year, is when Coles Park should be built, along with more of the housing over there for the Marion Jones project that we have.
That is fantastic. That's a great job the Lake County Housing Authority is doing and thinking about the youth as well, with the youth and the seniors together, right?
Yeah, we're bringing in. It's going to have low income, and it's going to have all variations of income. So it's going to be more of it's going to be mixed income, really. So it's going to be a real economic boom for the community, along with the new park as well. It's going to provide more services to the constituents within the 14th district. Manchester Knowles is also doing I think it's a $14 million rehab over there in their area along on it. And if you continue to go along Kennedy Avenue, I was just at Habitat for Humanity. They're building 2 brand new houses for 2 families within North Chicago, and there's another non-for-profit organization that's also building houses next to those houses that Habitat for Humanity is building. So we are really building up within North Chicago, especially with the library being redone, the new parks that we're getting within the community, and then of course the Forest Preserve is always being expanded at Greenbelt. So we're really moving forward, and I think once we get that 14th Street up and running, we can stop having a lot of potholes and people running into them.
And then terrible.
Yeah, I mean that is something I have an issue with. You know, when I got on the park board, just try to drive to our park because we had Coles Park there for so long, and you know it's finally being redone, and it's going to be a real beauty. It's going to be beautiful for the community, and it's going to be great for the seniors there, and also for the kids that are
swimming pool.
The swimming pool, that is an issue that I actually put up while I was a commissioner. I put a proposal to put a question on the ballot. Shall we open the swimming pool, or build and construct a new swimming pool for X number of dollars? It's going to cost this much amount of money, which means you're going to have to pay this amount of money in taxes. Unfortunately, the board voted down my proposal, and it wasn't as if we were voting to put the pool there. We were just voting to allow the citizens to put the pool, or put it on the ballot to let the citizens decide if we have the pool or not. Right. That is something that we should have. Now that I'm on the county, what I'm going to try to do is see if there's any resources we can pull from there, either on the Forest Reserve or the county side, to see if we can support trying to get a pool. One thing I was working on was the same project at the library, where we're getting it done at no cost to the citizens, was to bring some of those organizations in to the park district and possibly get an indoor swimming pool, because that is what I think we should have, is an indoor swimming pool that can be used year round, so that way the high school can actually use that pool, because there's we have the stairs to nowhere at the high school. They lead to where the pool is supposed to be, but we need something for everyone in the community that can be used year round. That's why I'm looking at more of an indoor pool, and even as a county board commissioner, I'm still going to focus and try to push for getting a swimming pool within North Chicago, even though I'm not technically on that board anymore, but I can try to bring in the necessary resources to get things done still.
I really appreciate this again. This has been fantastic. Our time is just about out, and I know the citizens are looking forward to part 2.
Yep.
So we are hope you're available periodically. If we can do this at least quarterly or twice a year, because the information is just invaluable.
Absolutely. And one thing I am planning on doing as a county board member is to actually have quarterly coffees, sit-down coffees with your county board member.
You've already got that planned.
That is something I'm planning on doing, along with my newsletters as well. My first newsletter should be going out next week. I'm shooting my video tomorrow for my introductory video as a county board member, and then I'm sitting down with our communications staff next week to set up my first newsletter. My goal is to be a resource for the community, not just I want to be a focal point, so you can use my newsletter in a sense as a community calendar in a way. So I'll be trying to bring different non-for-profits and different organizations like the park districts for North Chicago or Falls Park and Waukegan and Gurnee to bring some of their programs and libraries as well, so we can make sure everyone is aware of different programs that are going on within the community.
We speak of people in leadership position having a vision, and Vance Wyatt has that vision.
Thank you.
Not only for being a North Chicago representative from the 14th district, but for the whole county. You have that vision. And so it's very important that networking and negotiation take place, right?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, if you don't ask for it, you won't ever receive it. And that's one thing at the Shields Township. We just asked for the 10,000 ounce, we got it. And the same goes for the library. To get that remodel done, we were partnering with one of our partners is AbbVie. Part of it was just asking for it, and it's turning out to a multi-million-dollar facility. We're getting, as I already said, the business center. We're going to be having a STEM lab within the library. We'll also be having a recording studio in the library as well, and a few new meeting rooms and different variations within our children and our adult side as well. It's going to be a beautiful library. It's opening within a couple of weeks now. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And then we also have our new bookmobile as well, which is something I was trying to get because the bookmobile we have is older than I am. So
it was donated.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, it was donated, and I mean, it's served us well for the many years. But I also know the headaches of all the wonderful repairs we had to put into it, and I'm looking forward to this new library, or the new bookmobile and the new library, to serve all of the residents of North Chicago and even the rest of the residents in the 14th district. I was actually meeting with the mayor of Gurnee, and I actually noticed we had some flyers for some of our programs even in Gurnee. So we had people even coming from Gurnee to our library, and especially with this remodel, it's really going to set us apart from some of our neighbors to the south, that we have a library that can actually compete with their own libraries as well.
We just love the mayor there of Gurnee. She's, I think this is her either third or fourth term. I don't know.
Yeah, she's been there for a while.
I can see why she's continually there, and that's a part-time job too, But she has a vision, and she's a great person, She's also been on the show a couple of times too, here, this type of thing. So, just a few comments. I know we could have another show on the importance of education, importance of family. Just comments.
So in regards to education, it's absolutely important to get an education. That can be getting a bachelor's degree, master's degree, whatever, but also just learning trades as well, because we also have we have an issue with the lack of skilled laborers. It's important that everyone gets.
That's another show.
Yeah, I know.
Family.
I'm still back at home with my mom. I moved back with her to make sure that she's taken care of, because she had her own little medical issues, and it's important to be there for your family. With my grandfather, my grandmother when she was there as well. So it's important to have family and also education.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that you have enjoyed this forum with Vance Wyatt. He's appointed as 14th District representative on a county board, in taking the place of the late Audrey Nixon, who passed away in April. This has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.